after it would come out the press, it would feel smooth and clean, but it wouldn't have the money feel to it.
Yeah.
Right? And so I had to create a special chemical that I would airbrush. I'd have all the hundreds hanging. It was actually a beautiful scene. I made like these 100 clotheslines. It was awesome, right? To be these hundreds just hanging.
That's sick.
And I would just spray it with this chemical and they'd start moving. They'd start dancing. The hundreds would. I call it the crackle dance, right? Because they'd be cracking. They used to hear the sound of cracking, right? It was awesome. And then once that dried, it felt just like money.
What was this chemical? Was it like something you could buy, like WD-40, or you made it?
So that's the one thing I've never talked about.
Can we roll? Are we rolling? Okay, yeah, go for it. Kill the music.
So after I did a Rolls Royce show at the Gold Coast downtown,
okay,
right? Badass art show, and afterwards we went to the Prism. Like I said, my brother, man, he worked clubs, had clubs to drink, all kinds of shit. So we're at Prism, we have it blocked off, and I'm live painting. I forgot who was.
You were doing a live painting?
Yeah,
sick.
And I was splashing it with paint. So
yeah.
And they didn't even care. There's probably still paint on the walls in prison because I was just throwing paint everywhere. But what was awesome is the chicks started coming up with their red bottom shoes.
Yeah.
And holding them up to me, man. And I was painting their legs.
Those are like $1,000 shoes.
Well, now I made them $10,000. You know what I'm saying? As soon as I hit them with some paint, man, that shit turned into $10,000.
Oh, that's crazy.
Oh, no, oh, no, I've had some badass art moments, man. I mean, my past with the counterfeiting was cool because it was, well, it wasn't really cool. It was just survival, really. When I was printing money, man, I was just trying to survive on.
Can we talk about that? I don't think everybody knows your story.
Well, I used to print money. I was one of the biggest counterfeiters at one time back in the 90s when the 96 note came out. It was the new 100 that had the watermark and the strip marked with the pen.
Was that one easier for you to copy, or was it just different?
Well, it was so the easiest one was the 85 because it only had a strip in it, right?
Okay.
So I had learned on the 85 or the older 100 through Da Vinci, who was I was his apprentice.
His name, that sounds like some Da Vinci shit. His name was Da Vinci.
Well, he's old time dude from Southside, had a print shop, printing money for the mob. Right, brought me in when I was a kid. I was about 15. He was real good friends with my mom, and he taught me some things, the old method with the presses and the plates and the inks and the photography and all the cool shit. And he didn't last. He didn't last too long. Was only in my life for about a year, and
but he taught you to get started.
He taught me enough for me to understand what it was, and but then I got away from it and I was on the streets with gangs and all kinds of bullshit. And then when the 96 note came out, it intrigued me because it was different than the one I learned on, and it was supposedly it couldn't be defeated. Right.
Oh, so there was a lore with this.
There was this. It put a lot of counterfeiters out of business right away.
Really? Okay.
The whole counterfeiting just poof shut down because now you got to figure out the paper with the pen. Yeah. Right. You got to figure out the watermark, the strip. They got the shifting ink. They had all kinds of things on it. Whereas before with the 8500, it was just a strip. That was it.
Okay.
Right. You had nothing else. Just a strip.
Can I ask how do you do it?
How do you do it? Yeah. I mean, shit, hard.
Yeah, are you designing a bill? Are you
So because I had learned on the old ways with the presses.
So you would actually press money and press things into money, then you just figure out how to give
plates
it the feel?
to print. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was a lot more complicated than that. There was 12 steps to the whole thing. That was just one part of it. What made my bills so special, they called it the hybrid.
Okay.
I was the first person to take the old school technology and the new school technology and bring them together, right? So at that time is when digital and Photoshop and stuff like that was just coming out, like in its early ages when you had a CD and you put it in the computer, right? That's how it used to be. Until I came around, they changed that shit because they're like, okay, we can't let criminals use this for, criminal reasons. So we're going to have to change this. And that's how you got all the apps. I actually probably started that shit. Don't even know it, right?
Yeah, you should be getting a royalty.
I should be getting a royalty from that because they reverse engineered how I made the money. And then the Secret Service used those techniques to create new things to defeat me.
You're like Leonardo DiCaprio and Catch Me If You Can.
In a way, but just with currency, right? It was just a different thing, different canvas, right? He had checks, I had money.
Is it possible to do it now? Like, do people still do it, or is it too hard?
I mean, so governments do it, cartels do it, so during the 90s, like I said, I started with the old technology. I'd use certain aspects of the bill for that, right? Like the background color or certain things that I wanted to mix the ink myself, right? Photoshop was good for registration, lining things up like the seals or the serial numbers, right? Because you could print them.
Yeah.
We used to use an old bingo program that we basically altered it to where it would change all the serial numbers.
Wow.
Because the bingo programs would give you all the different numbers. It would
auto-generate numbers.
Yeah, it auto-generate numbers. So we did it with the serial numbers. It was brilliant. It was awesome. So what I was really good at is taking things that nobody would ever think about using, phone book paper for the paper, right? It was thin enough to where I could put two pieces together. That's the reason the purple strip came out in the new bills, was to defeat that.
Oh my God.
Because people were reading my book and then people were copying me.
You made a book on it?
Yeah, it's called The Art of Making Money. That was the first book. Now there's another book called The Last Counterfeiter that goes into my art. Because The Art of Making Money, it ended when I went to prison.
Yeah.
And then all kinds of other shit happened. My son, there is The Last Counterfeiter. That goes more into my art. It goes into the counterfeiting too, but it includes what's happened in the last 10 years. Or 11 years, which is pretty amazing. I've been free for 11 years now, and I got out when I was 40.
Okay.
Had no high school education. I had no really work history, except I knew how to print real well, right? I could print anything. But I had to survive. So I literally went from being one of the top counterfeiters in the world to now I'm in the halfway house with nothing. Wife left me. I have no education, no work skills. I don't even know how I'm going to make it. My first job was a janitor at 6 West Hubbard. I was cleaning toilet bowls, but I loved my job because I was getting a check every week. It was the first time that I actually got a check in my life, right? And so I felt human. And it made me realize the importance of work and hard work. So when I got arrested, there were a few really key moments in my life that changed my life. And one of them was the agent that was hunting me down when I was getting ready to go to the joint, getting ready to catch the chain to the prison. He was actually dropping someone off, and he seen me in the holding cell. And he came up to me. I'll never forget it. He said, "Man, you're too smart for this." He goes, "Man, if you could just take it this time and try to learn something." He goes, "Man, I promise you, man," just because the judge had said something to me too about...
That was the federal agent who basically arrested you?
Yeah.
Damn.
So here it is on the day I'm getting sent to prison. He shows up to the holding cell, dropping someone off. Whether it was a coincidence or he meant to do it, who knows? Because he did have a certain respect for me, I remember, right? And that's what he told me. He said, man, I don't want to see you spend the rest of your life in here, man. You're better than this. And he don't even realize, because I never got the chance to tell him of how intense that was. And he'll remember the moment. He'll remember when he came up to me and he told me that.
I'm sure. So to you, that's like a huge pivotal moment.
It was one of them. There were a few, but that was one of them.
Damn.
The other one was the judge. The judge asked me how long it took me to get that good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I told him.
They were impressed by it. They were like, "This is crazy."
It was good for a young kid who didn't know much.
How old were you when you got locked up?
I mean, when I started the whole process, I was like, that was probably in my 20s. And then when I got locked up in when I was 33, actually.
Okay.
And I did 7. I got out when I was 40. And so I seen 7 years. Before that, I had been down a couple times, but it was only for a couple years each time. So, you know, here you are, young, strong. 2 years flies by.
Yeah.
You know? And now, granted, I did do stuff with that time. The first time I read, because I've read thousands of books, and my first.
Do you enjoy reading, or?
Oh yeah, even now I read every day, man.
Yeah.
It's good for the brain. You know, it keeps the brain sharp if you read. You know,
What kind of stuff do you read?
Right now, man, I'm into like ancient history.
I love ancient history. What do you
Knights
doing
Templars
now?
right now.
Knights Templars?
Yeah,
Okay.
and
That's like
the fall during the medieval times. I'm fascinated with how these people had to live. We think it's hard now. Shit.
Yeah, right.
Back then, them cats had plagues. They had different wars because the Roman Empire broke up in like 400 AD. It was like 426 or something AD.
I bet the smell's got to be terrible in the Middle
Ages. Oh, it was terrible. They'd take showers for a month. Can you imagine? You know, I go 2 days, man, and I feel like I crawled out of a swamp.
Just every woman just lives with the UTI and thinks it's normal.
Yeah, no deodorant, man.
That's
no
crazy.
Soap, but nevertheless, man.
So Knights Templar is the Crusades, right?
Well, one of them. I mean, there was so much. The Crusades was a part of it, but they had Solomon Knights. They go way back, man, thousands of years, man. You know? And you know, some people think it's to protect Christianity. I think it's even deeper knowledges than that. Everything I've read, there seems to be a lot of, you know, otherworldly shit out there. Right?
Oh, you talking like Anunnaki shit, like that?
Oh
kind
yeah,
of shit?
man. It goes back all kinds of shit. Anunnaki. My mom used to, you know, she used to tell me we were aliens from when I was a little boy, man. You know,
really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, my mom had bipolar, so I didn't really believe it. I kind of believe it now, but yeah, whatever, man. You know, but yeah, no. Mom used to joke with us all the time that we weren't from this planet, and some of the shit that we've been through, it seems like maybe we weren't, you know, but. Yeah, you never know, man. You know, I know that I get certain times where I don't feel like I'm from here.
Yeah.
You know, and I got hit by lightning in 2004 in Williamsville, Illinois.
Really?
Yeah, in 2004 was the worst lightning storm ever. You could look it up. It was crazy.
What were you doing? Were you like in a field, or were you like in a parking lot?
I was delivering money, man. I was in crazy story actually. I was in Topeka, Kansas, printing. And I had a deal that I had to get back here for because the people were leaving town. And so I had a driver at the time, big old Armenian. His name was Sev. He was great. Loved him.
Yeah. I had an Armenian friend once. He was like 6'8", biggest
yeah, he was
ever.
monster, man. Dark black hair, looked like a Dracula. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so he used to drive me everywhere. We had an old Bonneville, and we would stuff the money in the frame, right? Because you could stuff it in there real nice. And here it is. We're leaving Topeka early in the morning, and there was a brutal storm, man. I'm talking about the rain was just coming down, and we're driving across 70, and you know going this way. We get into Illinois, and the craziest thing happened. I need to do a painting of this actually. As we're coming down 70, which is an east-west highway, that storm we had been driving through for like hours started to veer off north, and so here we are on the highway, and on this side. It's like a sunny, beautiful
it's
blue
one of those,
day, right? And then on this side, it was solid black, and there were lightning coming down. I mean, it was insane. We get to 55, and Sev is like, "Hey, dog, I don't think we should drive in this because there were no cars coming the other way."
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of a sign, like, hey, if there's not cars coming this way, it's probably a good idea not to go that way, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, man, we ain't got time. I ain't worried about no lightning. We're in a car. Car can't get through.
I've always thought that the rubber.
Yeah, bullshit. That ain't true.
It's bullshit, huh?
It really is because I had a personal experience with it being bullshit. Yeah. When we're coming up 55, literally it felt like paparazzi, man. There were lightning bolts just boom, boom, boom everywhere. It was insane. And for about 5 minutes we were going through this, and he was freaking. I was like, I can't do this. This is a big old fearless dude, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, I can't do this. You're going to have to drive. I'm not driving in this shit. I said, man, we're going to be all right. We got rubber tires. Nothing can happen to us. Shortly after that, we both started laughing insanely. Just laughing like crazy. Like we had took some mushrooms or something, man, right? Don't know why it happened. And then right after that happened, the lightning hit us right in the front. Boom. The car shut down immediately. Just stopped. Everything was done. And I'll never forget it, man. All my hair was gone. on my arms and on my eyebrows and
really?
It was
did
gone.
You smell it? You smelled
It
burnt hair?
was terrible, dog. The funny thing is, though, I looked over to Zev because he had this real long black hair.
Yeah.
And all his hair was standing straight up, stuck to the roof. It was the craziest thing ever, dog. Like, I'm talking about straight to the roof, the hair was, man.
Holy shit.
And I started laughing. He's like, bro, we're going to die. Anyway, I said, well, try to start the car. He's like, hey, no way the car's going to start. And it's rain and lightning. It's just terrible. And he hit it and the car started, right?
I would have been afraid I would have got electrocuted when I started the car.
So, and then what was really ironic, I said, get off, man. We got to get off. Because we were both feeling weird. You know, like when you pick up sand and it goes through your fingers?
Sure.
That's how our whole bodies felt. Like we were going to disintegrate. It felt like sand.
Weird.
It was the weirdest. Even talking about it, man, my hands get all
weird to get
right
struck by lightning.
Well, right there it hit. It's close enough to burn the hair off my eyes. You know.
Did the car move or did it just stop?
It just stopped.
Was it like an impact?
It just shut down. All the electronics, it just shut down immediately. So, you know, it wasn't like it stopped like second, but it just shut down and we rolled off to the side.
Shit.
The first exit, it was Williamsburg, right? Illinois, which my last name's Williams, which I thought, what's the fucking irony in that one, right? Oh, really? You know, it was Williams. Yeah, it tripped me out, right?
Yeah.
We get off. We get to the gas station and everybody's parked underneath the pumps.
Yeah. The overhang.
We go inside like idiot. We're just stunned, right? We're still jacked up off this thing. And the old man behind the thing goes, what you boys doing out there? This is the worst lightning storm of Illinois history. There were like 50, you could look it up. There were like 50,000 strikes that night.
Shit.
It was insane. Right in that little area. It was like in 2004. So we ended up waiting for it to pass over, got to Chicago. I dropped the money off. And then for like 3 days, I felt like I was going to die. But that was just a crazy money story. But yeah, no, it was.
That is crazy, man.
Yeah.
I've never met anybody who got hit by lightning. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, it hit us all right.
I'm sure it wasn't cool for you, but it's cool. I mean,
no, it wasn't at the time.
Yeah.
You know, for 3 days, it felt like I was going to just, you know, and me, I don't ever go to the doctor.
How long did the feeling last?
Well,
it just felt like that for 3 days?
The reason this story even came up is because we were talking about.
I forgot I have ADD. I just went with it. I was like, now we're talking about lightning.
The reason it came up is because my mom used to tell me crazy shit about Knights Templars and all this shit. Right? That we were something special. We were different. We were you know, a part of a universe rather than just an Earth, right?
Sure.
Where most people just look at them in their country. Man, I got friends that ain't left Bridgeport. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whereas I be thinking I'm a universal creature, right? Not just an earthly being, but I live in a universe. And when you think like that, shit, man, you see things differently.
You think it's like less limiting?
Most definitely, because the Earth is a small planet, right?
Sure.
Even Chicago, it's a big city.
I run into people all the time I don't want to run into.
All the time, right? So you think, damn, there's 2 million people here. You'll never run into this cat again. I ran into him 5 times. Damn, smack him. Get out of here. I don't want to see him no more. You know? My point being is we live in a universe, man. And when you start thinking like that, and that's what happened to me, right? That's why I study a lot of different things, secret teachings, secret symbols. I put a lot of the stuff in my art. I got hidden stuff in my art.
Do you? I noticed some like what do they call like sacred geometry kind of shit?
All the time, man. Sacred geometry is huge to me, man. You know, but
ancient like ancestors that are like or civilizations that.
Well, look at some of the civilizations,
or like ones that like are like 14,000 years ago.
Yeah,
and they're just covered up by like thousands of years.
Well, they found shit like that where they're like, they say like history started like Mesopotamia like 10,000 years ago, but they have cities like you talk about like pyramids that are like 26,000
Did we all learn this from the guy that was on Rogan?
Yeah.
Well,
I did.
Just recently, I watched the oldest is like 32,000 years old. I think it's in Peru. It's a crazy geometrical stone.
Can we look that up, Corey?
It looks crazy. It's
crazy geometrical stone in Peru.
Peru, somewhere South America. It's like 30,000. I just watched the video.
30,000 years old. I want to see what this looks like.
It looks crazy.
Where do you watch your shit? YouTube?
YouTube. I'll go to like the History Channel stuff. Discovery got a lot.
Yeah, they got a lot of ancient alien
stuff. I'm all into that, you know.
No, I'd love to get high and watch ancient aliens.
There's one that just came out like 2 years ago. It's like 30,000 years old. It's insane.
Is this it?
Let's see. That might be it. Oh yeah, that's it. No, that's a stone. But the place looks like that. Built into the ground. It's crazy.
Damn.
Just look up ancient civilizations.
Graham
might be-
Hancock. That's the guy. Do you guys know who that is? He was on Joe Rogan a bunch of times, and he has all these theories of these ancient civilizations.
Oh man, we've probably had like 5 different ones. You know.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. There he is in the bottom right.
Bottom right. That shit's crazy.
Anyway, so that's the type of stuff I'm into right now. But I've been into. I mean, I do time, man. I used to get into physics, string theory, you know, all kinds of stuff. Like,
I always start learning about physics. I get like this idea I want to, and then I think I'm too dumb for it.
no, well, that's
They
the
said
thing.
the quantum physics is just
Well,
like
see, here's the beautiful thing about physics,
Yeah.
man, that I've learned is that so our DNA is encoded with the information, and so even if you don't have the psyche to understand it, your subconscious, I swear, as you read this stuff, because it's a part of our DNA, your mind will start to understand it. It's really far out.
That is cool.
And everyone has that ability. Everyone. Just like they say everyone can be taught how to draw. Not everyone could be taught how to paint, right? It takes years and years and years to do that. But everyone could be taught how to draw. That's a fact. Everyone says, oh, I can't draw. Well, you haven't trained yourself. But it's just like anything
you
else.
practice.
You train yourself at something, you'll be able to figure it out. Maybe you won't be a master drawer, but
Yeah.
you will be able to draw if you train at it. Painting is a whole nother area, right? Because you're mixing a fluid onto a canvas to create. I just did a piece just recently that someone thought I sketched with pencil.
Yeah.
And I said, nah, that ain't pencil, that's paint.
That's
Nah.
crazy. I'm always impressed when I see paintings that look like portraits because
Yeah.
it's such a hard thing to do.
It's the hardest.
Because like I get like, I mean, I'm not saying impressionism's easy, but like you don't have to be as exact, right? Like it's got its own thing, but
Well, the thing about a portrait is you could be off just a centimeter over the eyebrow and it ruins the whole thing.
right, because the ratio, the Fibonacci sequence or whatever
It's
we got going
unbelievable.
on.
So I'm working on that right now. That's paint.
Oh shit, that's paint.
Yeah.
that looks like a sketch.
That's paint right there.
Oh, that's cool.
But this is taking years to figure out how to do this, man.
I was going to ask you on these paintings. So like it's a painting of Trump on a $100 bill. The ones you do, like I saw the leopards printed on a bunch of bills. Is that you making counterfeit money and painting on it, or is that real
exactly
money?
what it is.
That's
No,
what it is. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's fake money,
Okay.
man. Yeah.
I was like, is this a $10,000 canvas? And then he's like,
No. I ain't there yet. Maybe I'll get to that point where I'm doing $10,000 canvas.
yeah,
but-
you got to go make some canvases over in like Dubai or the UAE.
Yeah, but no, man. I mean, so with the money, like back in the day, my boy right here, my brother, he used to run clubs to drink.
Who's that on the bottom right? Is that
Tommy, what other clubs did you run?
I had
Stilettos?
I worked at Shelter. Stilettos was a private club. 9 Ghost Bar.
Oh wow.
Oh, a lot of man. Dude, well, we used to float money through there, man. You know,
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh yeah, all kinds of stuff.
You got a whole. That's
He
crazy.
actually took. So when in my early days, I gave him a chunk of money, and he went down to Jamaica, and oh shit, you could tell that's.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Tell what happened, Tommy.
Okay, if I really want to open up here.
Yeah.
All right, so we went there. Artie Commonwealth. I just happened to be leaving to Jamaica. A friend of mine was getting married out there, and Artie, the night before I was leaving, he just knocked on my door, threw me a big duffel bag, just took off. So I thought, what the fuck, man? Open up, bunch of money in it. I said, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to Jamaica tomorrow. I'm gonna bring a bunch of this money with me. So, and this was back in the day when.
Oh, that was the early years.
You know, it was
Like
after
99 or
9/11.
something.
Yeah, it was.
Oh yeah, that's before
So it was
9/11,
still
so you don't
kind
have
of-
that security.
Yeah.
We got the money out there, and of course we're doing what you do when you got money like that. We're hitting all these strip clubs, and we're dialing into all the drugs and the underworld of Jamaica. You know what I mean? So at one point, I get a bus full of chicks from the strip club. I buy a bus full of girls, basically. I buy a bus full of girls.
Was
man. I'm
Jamaica
not
like a
kidding you,
big party
bus full of
scene then,
fucking
or are you
girls.
like just the balling
So
out
we're
there?
just fucking, and the guy with the bus is like, hey man, I'll just keep going into the club and bringing out girls, and if you want them, you just say yeah. If not, you just tell me no, and I'll go get another one. So we ended up with probably about a dozen girls.
No fucking
We
way.
were just handing out money all over the fucking place, man. Right?
Jamaica, man?
Yeah,
So,
Jamaica, it's crazy.
so-
story.
just got back
They're
from
trying to
Jamaica.
like sell me their ramshackle houses and shit that were like made out of plywood that were like 5 feet from the water's edge. It was nuts, right?
You're like, here, buy a new one.
Yeah, no, here, I'll buy the whole block, whatever. So, and then when I was at the by the hotel there, at one point, because I was just handing out money left and right. And, you got all these people peddling stuff to all the tourists and everything up and down the beach. So at one point, the management from the hotel came out. They said, "Hey, yo, Mr. Bravo, listen, you got to calm down with all the money
Yeah.
because you go out there and everybody's coming to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No one else is doing anything else for anybody else.
It's
Oh,
all
it was
hundreds.
that reason. I thought they
And
were
it's
like,
all
it's
hundreds.
dangerous. No, they were
So
like,
no. Here's the dangerous part.
Yeah.
So we go back to the strip club. This is the day before we're leaving. Go back to the fucking strip club. I'm like, yeah, man, let's go back there and fucking see what's up. So we go there. We're running into all the girls. One of the girls says, hey, Tommy, check it out. And I noticed this happening too, is that the longer we had these bills folded in like a billfold, the humidity was making some of them like wear away right down the center
Come
of the
apart.
oh my God.
Because I put
So
them
she's
together.
like, hey man, there's something, I don't know, man, about that money. I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. And you gotta remember, man, I was immediately playing
I got you.
my mic over there. The Jamaican mob, I mean, as soon as they see me with all this money, they hooked me up directly with the guy who owned the strip club. It was called Triple X. And just lo and behold, I've got Triple X tattooed on the back of my neck. So I was like,
Must have had a real good time.
Joint. Plus, I was throwing around $250,000 in money like a lunatic, right? So she's like, something's going on with that money. I look at my buddy. I said, we gotta get the fuck out of here right the fuck now, dude. I can't believe we did get out of there.
Oh my God.
So the money was
Whole out
fun.
of there was a fucking scary 30 yards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, what happened is,
Nick,
is I,
could you reclip his mic? Okay, yeah.
so what happened is the money that I would put it together with a spray, right? A spray adhesive,
Yeah.
right? And it was real early in the processing of learning. So that's the thing, is
So this is like early on. It was good enough to pass. and
Oh,
shit.
yeah.
Take it to Jamaica. It doesn't melt away.
yeah, well,
Nobody
here
knows
it
the
is.
fucking difference.
Yeah, because
That
I'm
was
making,
wild.
I'm making.
Did you, so hang on. I'm sorry. I just want to hear. How did you get out of there?
We fucking bolted the fuck out of there. We were supposed, I played with something left day. I paid like fucking $2,000 to leave now.
Did you? You said just
Yeah,
take
we
me
left.
home.
We
Take
went
me to the
right now.
airport.
So we are not
Did you
staying
pay
till
a
the
real
morning.
$2,000 or was it the
We are
counterfeit
outta
$2,000?
here. No, it was a real $2,000.
Okay. So it wouldn't melt on this guy.
Yeah, no, it would have melted, right?
Well, see, what was crazy is the spray that I used. I was still testing it, right?
Yeah.
And so, but the good thing is when he came back and he,
until fucking
yeah, the good thing
right
is
up to that last day, but I had noticed it like maybe earlier that day.
Yeah.
the good thing
I
is
really
when he
didn't
came
think
back
about
and
it
told
too
me.
much, but it was in the back of my mind that maybe this might have happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so he says, Artie, he goes, that shit's falling apart, man. So I'm like, damn, okay. So then I really got down. I went and got me some industrial adhesive,
Okay.
and I started doing testing, and I got it to the point to where you could wash them son of a bitches and they weren't coming apart.
Yeah.
So
Would you like do that? Would you like take a set of shit you printed and like let me see if
No.
it'll go through the wash and see if it stands
well, no,
the test?
at that point I did because I was trying to make it
'Cause you-
better.
yeah.
Right. So that was the cool thing about the money. It was always getting better, and it would get better by being used. Right. So I'll give you an example. So we'd spend it, and one of the key things about it is watching the person's reaction. What's the first thing they do? Well, the first thing they do is they touch it.
Yeah.
Right. You hand it to them, they touch it. The second thing is they look at it.
Do one of these.
Right? So it's touch and sight are the first two senses that you got to overcome. And so it took me a real long time. So when you would put that paper together, after it would come out the press, it would feel smooth and clean, but it wouldn't have the money feel to it.
Yeah.
Right? And so I had to create a special chemical that I would airbrush. I'd have all the hundreds hanging. It was actually a beautiful scene. I made like these 100 clotheslines. It was awesome, right? There'd be these hundreds just hanging.
That's sick.
And I would just spray it with this chemical and they'd start moving. They'd start dancing. The hundreds would. I call it the crackle dance, right? Because they'd be cracking. They used to hear the sound of cracking, right? It was awesome. And then once that dried, it felt just like money.
What was this chemical? Was it like something you could buy, like WD-40, or you made it?
So that's the one thing I've never talked about. Yeah. Secret sauce, man.
Secret sauce.
I've talked about the paper. Who cares? Because that was in the book. But
yeah,
there was always certain things that I whenever I did like the books or interviews that I would leave out that would make a big enough difference that if anyone like read my book or watched the interview and they tried to replicate it, it wouldn't come out the same.
That's smart. Do you do that because you don't want people to do it? You want it as your thing, or because you don't want to get in trouble?
Well, for both, right? Because I didn't want people to because my money, if you did follow everything that I'd show you, it would create some really awesome cash, right? And so one of the reasons I didn't want someone to be able to create that type of level of counterfeit. The other thing is I want mine to have a marker to it to where if anyone else was counterfeiting, it wouldn't look like I was doing it.
Yeah.
Right? They could use the same paper and the watermark and it's the same concept, but if they weren't using offset presses and the chemical, they could never match my money and the Secret Service would know that I'm not back in business.
So how did they end up, I don't know if you're allowed to talk about it, but how did they end up catching you? Like, how did they figure out it was you?
I mean, it was just me and my son arguing. I mean, the first time was me.
So it wasn't they noticed something in the money?
No, actually, I haven't ever been caught with nothing.
Okay.
It was conspiracy. So
Conspiracy to counterfeit?
Yeah. So one of my other things that I was really just real anal about certain things.
Yeah.
One of them was not keeping everything in the same place. So I would have, I know a lot of people, right, in the city. And one of the good things about that is you got certain perks. So one of my friends, Irishman from Southside, his dad died, had like 68 apartment buildings, like 5,000 units, right? Because some of them were huge in the Southside on Kedzie and Archer, that big one. It's got like 50 units in it. Anyway, his pops died, left him all of them. He was the only son, left him all the buildings. So I had like 8 apartments. I had an apartment everywhere, man, you know?
So you just were able to like divide it up. Nobody could catch you with more than one thing.
Even now, man, you look at my keychain, I got keys to about 5 houses. It's crazy.
Can't keep all your secrets in one place. I've always said that.
I swear to God, if you pull my keys out, there's probably like 15 keys on there, and 5 of them are to someone's house, man. But it's just a habit. That's the weird thing, man, is like I still have habits that I obtained while I was doing the money.
Yeah.
That I still have now that are good habits though, right? You know? So
give me an example.
Well, even like the houses, man. I've always had like numerous homes and then just within like the last 2 years, the clientele that I've had of selling art to, they got homes all over the country that they don't even live in. Right?
Yeah.
And so I don't fly. I stopped flying in 2019. And so I drive everywhere.
You told me about that when you were coming in. We were talking for a minute.
Yeah,
you said something happened to you in 2019 and you just were done flying?
It's done. Yeah. I was flying from Chicago to LA. Before that, I've been on plane hundreds of times, you know?
Yeah.
And I was going from Chicago to LA. We got over like Kansas and we started hitting turbulence. And I've been in turbulence before, even bad turbulence, coming from Alaska to Seattle in handcuffs on a tiny little plane. That was some crazy shit, right?
Alaska to Seattle?
Yeah, the marshals came and got me, man. It was all
in Alaska. They caught you in Alaska?
In Alaska, dog.
Damn, they chased you up there.
Yeah, and they brought me back from there too, right? They brought me back on a tiny little plane. So even that didn't scare the shit out of me to stop flying, right? So that kind of tells you how intense this moment must have been, given that I've been in some pretty intense flying situations, you know?
Yeah.
Been on Con Air, right? Con Air like 10 times. Right. And then those are the worst pilots. They actually do shit to scare you. Right.
Do they really?
Oh, hell yeah, man.
You ever see the Nicolas Cage movie?
Yeah, man.
Is it like that?
Shit, but it's not. It's like that the way you move. You're handcuffed to the floor. But the pilots, they'll come in and they'll start doing shit like this, and you feel like you're gonna. See, I'm dead. I don't want to die like this, man.
The one time the pilots don't have to appease the passengers.
Yeah, what if the wind comes? I think they do it the best with you, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, coming from Chicago to LA, we're over Kansas, man. We're going through some bad turbulence. And then literally, man, it felt like seconds, man. The plane just dropped. Just like...
For like how long?
Oh, felt like, I mean, I'm
sure it felt like forever.
I wasn't doing 1,000, 2 1,000, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know, but
yeah.
I could tell you it felt like forever.
Okay,
felt
so
like forever.
You lost.
Off the, you felt the lightless, light, gravity type shit, you know?
Yeah.
And it lasted, man, for where I'd probably say it lasted like 5 seconds, but 5 seconds was enough, man.
You probably dropped 1,000 feet or some shit.
Who knows? And then it came, you felt everything like come back, right? When we got to LA, man, I was still shaking, right? And I was like, man, I can't, how am I going to get back to Chicago?
Yeah.
Man, I'm not getting back on a plane. Hell no, man. You know, I ended up getting back. I got drunk, you know, and I'm not really a drinker. I don't drink at all. Now I haven't drank in 4 years. But at that time, man, I was slamming whiskeys before I got on it. And then I never got on a plane again. I probably drove since then, since 2019. This is what a lot of people don't know about me, actually. I bet you could go down right now and you could look at my odometer. In 3 years, there's 207,000 miles on it. I've had the car for 3 years. I got the car with 30-something thousand miles on it. So in 3 years, I put 170,000 miles on it. And I could prove it. You can go look at it right now.
Crazy. What year is that thing?
It's 2017. Wow. Yeah.
So that
had like 32,000 on it when I got it. It's got 207,000 on it right now.
What kind of car is that?
It's a BMW X5M.
And it's been running good, or you work on it?
Nice.
Oh no, it's a badass car, man.
That's a nice car.
I got the stealth technology.
200,000 miles on a fucking BMW is
It's
nice.
impressive. Yeah, I probably spent 50,000 on it though.
Real money?
Man, I put some money. Yeah, it was real money, man. No, I've traded art for work on it, all kinds of shit, man. You know, I'm a barter dude. I love to barter, man.
Yeah, that's the best way to be. I love the barter system.
You got a watch? I'll barter you right now.
Fuck yeah.
you got next to
I don't have a watch, but I'll think of something.
Yeah.
It's
I'm looking
crazy.
for a watch. No, I bartered
really
for a
looking for a
Porsche. I bartered for a Porsche. I bartered for an RV. The Porsche is on my Facebook.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, I painted the top. That Porsche actually saved my life. I bartered it for some paintings to one of my collectors down in Florida. His wife didn't want it in the garage no more. So I brought it back, and then the COVID hit. You know, and here you are, an artist, man. It's not like I had galleries and art agents and art publishers, man. I'm an art hustler, right? I'm an independent artist, man. And probably will go down as like one of the greatest independent art hustlers that ever lived. I think that'll be like my legacy. When they look back at it, because I don't ever say sold of any of my art online. I don't talk about it, I don't brag about it. I don't want people to know what I have.
Yeah.
I don't want them to know what I'm selling. It ain't none of their business that I got money, because when people know you got money, they want to try to get it from you. So you could go to any post and you'll never see a post where I'm like sold, where other artists say brag about it. I don't give a shit, man. I don't want you to know, right? But when I'm gone,
then you want people to know.
Then they're going to be like, damn, did this cat really push like $5 million worth of art by himself? That was my gallery. So what I do is
North Cannon Drive.
So I got a little, yeah, that thing was badass, dude. Yeah, that thing was sick, man. And I hung all the drapes, cut everything, made everything.
I love that gold money.
Yeah, the gold money was badass, everything, man. The whole place. That was in Beverly Hills, man.
This is in Beverly Hills?
In Beverly Hills, across from Santa Monica and It was on the corner of Santa Monica and Cannon, across from the Beverly Hills sign, bro. Here's a kid from the projects, Southside Chicago. I went out to LA during the pandemic. Everyone was telling me I was crazy. They were like, dude, you're going to go to LA during fires in a pandemic? And you're going to, I said, listen, ain't no one going to buy my art in Chicago, but I got people in LA that will, even during the pandemic. So I got to go where I can.
Vegas. You tried selling in Vegas?
Vegas is too touristy, man. And it's you know, I could do there, but like Goddard, and there's been some cats that went out there and been successful, but then at the same time, they're mass producing their stuff and mass selling it. And what happens is over time, so just like musicians and actors, they have a shelf life, right? You'll see a musician, Lil Wayne came out, had his run, right? He still does stuff, still produces, still come out a song here.
This is the #1 Lil Wayne fan in the world.
Yeah, but he had his run where he was really making his money. He was doing big shows.
Oh yeah, you got to capitalize when the getting's good. Because it's not always going to be good.
Yeah, and then you'll go into your like little retirement where you're always going to be making money. Yeah.
And some people catch that wave more than once too. Like some people will like
Eminem's caught it, man. All kinds, you know, Snoop's caught it. Yeah,
I agree though. It ebbs and flows, and you got to take advantage of when it's coming.
Yeah, and so it's same with artists, painters.
Okay,
right. So I'll have my moments, man, where man I'm just crushing it, right, and then I'll pull back, and sometimes I pull back on purpose. Like right now, I haven't had a gallery in almost like a year and a half. Right?
Is it to like build up more of a suspense or like more time to work on your next project?
It's a lot of things. It's working on new stuff. It's not being too familiar, right? As an artist, I don't want to. That's why I travel a lot. I tell artists from Chicago, so I know a lot of artists, man, that are Chicago artists, and I know artists from all over the place, and they never leave their city. They stay in their city, right? And what happens is they sell to all their friends, they sell to all their family. They might catch a few breaks going to a few events or fairs here and there. And then the next year they do the same. And then by the third, fourth year, everybody's familiar with them.
Yeah. They've burned out their welcome.
They've done saturated their limit that they can with their art. I learned that early on. So I took the art game just like I did the counterfeit game. I studied the shit out of it and figured out what I could do. And one thing that I learned right away was, if I try to stay in Chicago, even for Tommy used to tell me, hey, you got to get out of here, dog. You got to go to Miami. You got to go to other places, man. You can't just stay here, you know? He goes, these people ain't going to buy your art. How many times you tell me? Neighborhood guys ain't going to buy your shit, man. Every time, right? So I did it. First time, went down to Miami, did Art Basel, ended up opening up a pop-up next to a restaurant. So I got my own little hustle, right? So
you do Miami, you do Art Basel. Is the idea now to do Miami again, or is it like, let's go to Denver now? Let's keep moving.
So Miami, and this was all learning. Everything I'm telling you right now wasn't planned. The plan became real as the movement was happening, right? So when I went down to Miami, I did Art Basel. The first time I did Art Basel, I killed it. That's what kicked my career off. Ended up doing something for Arnold Schwarzenegger. He invited me out to his house. I sold I went out to Arnold Schwarzenegger.
What'd you do for Schwarzenegger? What'd you do for the Terminator?
I raised a lot of money for his charity for the kids, the After School All-Stars.
Hell yeah.
I mean, he really is the one who gave me my shot. I mean, I haven't ever talked to him again. I only seen him twice, but just those 2 times I turned it into this. He don't know that, right? Because I've never talked to him about it, but I never looked back after that. I never quit, never laid it down, you know? Oh no, he changed my life. Arnold Schwarzenegger changed my life without a doubt. What was so awesome cool. is I raised up watching Terminator and Predator and all that shit, and then I got to meet him, and then I got to sell $500,000 of art at his house.
No fucking way.
3 hours. It was like a dream.
That's got to be
I'm walking down Arnold's driveway, feeling like I'm in space, man. I'm like, what? Here I've been only out of prison like 2.5 years, dog. And what's even crazier about it is when I showed up to the show at his house, the state police that guard him took me in the back and fingerprinted me and took a picture of me. I'm like, man, this is the first time I've been fingerprinted for an art show, man. They said, hey, man, we got to do it, man. That's the governor, man. We got to fingerprint you.
Oh, my God.
And they did, man. They fingerprinted me and took a picture, man. It was insane. But then I had the greatest moment of my life. And I took that money. I gave some of it to the charity. I gave like 25% of it to the charity. And I came back to Chicago and I opened up my gallery on Morgan Street. And that was my home base. So from there, the next year I went back to Art Basel thinking I was a big shot, right? I just did Arnold's, I did all this shit, and I got my ass handed to me. I had the greatest show ever. How about Ty? Satai was badass. And we did it right after Rolls Royce, so I was on a roll.
What was it called?
The Satai Hotel.
Satai,
yeah, it's one of the dope places in Miami.
S-O-T-E-I?
S-E-T-A-I. Yeah, it's one of the dopest hotels in Miami. I spent 110, so I did a show at Rolls Royce downtown in September. I made like 120 grand, and it was really crazy what I did actually. And this is one of the things. The reason I've been able to be successful because I take chances. So I took that money and I wanted to do a big Art Basel because I did good the year before. Met Arnold, all this shit. So I said to Satai, well, it cost me $110,000 to throw that event, right? Which later in life I learned that galleries spend $300,000-400,000 in events. Right?
Wow.
Oh yeah, to put the big artists out there. They
So
spend
galleries are big money.
big money, man.
Wow.
Big money. Some of them galleries like Eden Gallery, man, they're billion-dollar galleries, man. You know,
Jesus.
Park West is another massive one. One of my dudes signed to them. They made him rich, but you know he works hard. So, but nevertheless, here I spent pretty much everything I made at Rolls Royce at Satai, and I didn't sell one painting.
Really? Damn.
Not one. It was the greatest gathering ever, man. That was awesome. 500 people. We had the best time ever, but I didn't sell nothing.
Fuck.
And I remember the next day waking up feeling like the biggest loser. I'm like, damn, what the hell happened, man?
Yeah.
You know? And for 2 days after that, man, I was a mess. Everybody went back to Chicago. I didn't even have no money to get back. My wife went back. She went back to Chicago on me. And I ended up catching a break. And this is something I learned, man, being an artist, is you can't judge your success on that evening, right? Every artist thinks they're going to have that big sellout, man. I'm gonna put all my art, man. I'm gonna sell everything tonight, man. I'm gonna be this, you know, and there's some artists that do that because they got it pre-sales and all that. But I learned being an independent artist, your sales come afterwards, right? Your event is to stage the art and then connect as many people you can.
So you feel like your success comes in like not only the form of like people buying your art, but also opportunities you get out of that.
Yeah,
that turn into your
absolutely.
next thing.
It's a network. The network.
Yeah.
How do the galleries make it? I learned how the galleries make it. They got a network of people that like to buy art. So I had to learn this on my own. So what happened? That event, the next 6 months, I sold a bunch of art. Almost everything that was at the show, but it took 6 months.
Did you stay in touch with those same people?
I stayed in touch with the same people. I got a lot of media. Florida really loved me, man. They shot me out on ABC, Fox News. I was on everything. And then I did the smart thing. I sold a couple pieces, and rather than getting a big head and my ego blown out, I stayed calm, stayed humble. I shot up to Boca Raton. I met a cool cat that helped me, and we opened up a pop-up gallery next to one of the famous fish restaurants on Palmetto Park Drive. Everyone goes to this fish place, right? It was 364 Palmetto Park Drive, I think it was. And there was a little shop center right next to the fish spot. And I thought to myself, I said, man, if we could get in there, all the people that are eating lunch could come over to the gallery and I could sell art to them. And bam, that's exactly what happened. I picked up the lease because it was a lease that somebody had the lease but wasn't occupying it. So the realty company wanted to get somebody in there. So I made a deal with them for 6 months. They didn't want to do it, but I forced the hand, paid them up front. We moved in there and rocked it, man. Rocked Boca Raton, right? And I said, oh, okay, this is how we do it. Now, it was a lot of work. Had problems personally. Some of my friends were, you know, my wife was mad because I just stayed. I didn't come home, you know. I was like, man, I'm making money, you know. But that's what taught me about the galleries. That's when I ended up opening one in Beverly Hills, the same way, Santa Monica and Cannon. Cannon's all the restaurants. People would eat, they'd come to my gallery.
That's
every
crazy.
time. I did it on Melrose. I was next to I went to West Hollywood after Beverly Hills. So I learned that for me, especially because my art is expensive, I don't sell it cheap. I'll hold on to it. I've held on to art. I had a Dorothy painting, man, that I held on to for 3 years. It was beautiful, man. It was rubies, man. It was crazy. I wanted 30 grand for it. Sat on my wall for 3 years. All of a sudden, at my Rolls Royce, a lady from Colorado comes in, and she was a big time Judy Garland fan, and she seen it. And she said, I got to have that painting. I collect everything Judy Garland. I love it. And I got to have it on my wall. And I told her the prices. She didn't hesitate. Boom. Freaked me out. Freaked me out. I'm like, no way. I just sold that thing for 30 grand. Who the hell? How's that happen to you, man? But it was because I was patient, man.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So
Here, do you want to pop in here real quick? I got to take a leak.
no, I just want to ask you a question. I mean, when did you learn about all these materials? Like, because your art, I mean, clearly there's epoxy. There's just crazy. You have to have a good knowledge to make this art, and then the metal with the stamping of the gold. Is that metal?
Foil.
The gold? It's foil.
Yeah, it's real
is that
tough.
Gold foil?
Gold foil, real hard to work with, man.
So what is that? What did you put it on?
On metal.
On metal.
Yeah, real difficult. That's the only reason so if you go through so the really cool thing about my Facebook, not my Instagram so much as my Facebook.
I don't think we have Facebook here.
Well, my Facebook is what I got started with when I got out of prison. So the first picture in Facebook was my first day out of prison.
Okay, so when did you learn about all those materials and like epoxies and gold? Like, were you into art? Like, was this like starting like pre 10 years old, or was this teenage years in high school?
So I never did art till I went to prison.
Okay, so you learned about all this
Well,
shit.
no, I learned so I started with oil painting. So there was a time I was a purist. A purist is one who believes that the purest form of a painting is white canvas, sketch with charcoal, oil painting overlay, right? No projector, just straight up hand work, right? And so in prison, I could do that though, because I had years to sit there and do that, right? And that's how I trained myself.
Holy cow! So were you not really?
I wasn't a painter at all.
Yeah, you were just.
I could draw really good because of doing the counterfeiting. I had really good detail. I got super crazy steady hands. If you look at my hands, I could almost keep them without. I could do lines like no other, man. Right?
Let's look at that guy.
Yeah, I could do lines like no other, man. Where's Scarface at? There's Scarface. Stop me.
I guess then relating to counterfeiting is, how did you learn about the printers? Was that just something you were like? You had the idea of going into counterfeiting, and then you did the research to back what you were going after?
So that's a cool question you asked. So for me, the internet had just came out, but it was only at colleges and libraries.
06?
Yeah, earlier than that, like 04, 03, right? 04, about 03, 02. So I would go to the libraries and I would get on to the U.S. Patent and Copyright Office, and I would look up counterfeit detection machines, right? Like the ones they use in the bank. I actually got the patent number off one of them at the bank because my dude's mom worked there on 26th Street. She gave me the patent number. I punched it in, and it gave me the whole schematics of how it worked, what made it work. And so then I took that information and I reverse engineered it, right? So I was using the internet, man, when nobody had it in their home,
You can get any of those patents on Google.
Anything. You can do a nuclear weapon patent, man.
You can literally find any patent for anything right now.
It's crazy. Well, back then it was real wide open because it was all educational.
Yeah.
It wasn't like this super Google online shit.
People weren't protecting intellectual properties back
not even
then.
close,
Yeah.
man. It was all intellectual, man. People were putting books up there. So like I told you, so what helped me through life is when I was growing up in the projects, we were so poor, we never had a TV. My mom go to the thrift store, she'd grab a box of books, come home, that was my TV.
Yeah.
So that's why I say when I've read thousands of books, I mean, I really read thousands of books.
So that was like your pastime. Like,
that was my pastime.
You would watch TV, you read.
So I could read massive amounts of information, man, and retain it. So when I went to the library and I see this new thing, the internet, and I could go to the university here, the government agency here, and I could read all their stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, I was the computer downloading, man. And then I would go do it. Let's fast forward years later with my art. I started in prison as a purist, man. That's what I believe because I studied Da Vinci and Michelangelo and all the masters. I never really got into contemporary art, never really got into abstract. I was a straight oil painter, 100% oil. So I ended up starting with the hardest medium to use, I think anyway, right? Because oil has a mind of its own and you have to layer it if you really want it. You could do heavy body oil, but it won't look the same when you get into layers and layers and layers and layers of stuff, right?
Okay.
Was that Maserati?
Yeah. Oh, I've had everything. Lamborghinis, Porsches, man. All
That's acid?
Aston Martin, yeah. So the thing is with my art, you asked the question about how did I learn about these materials?
Yeah.
So when I got out of prison, I wanted to be an artist. Well, really, I wanted to be a writer. I wrote a book called Cain's Dagger. You guys can look it up. It's pretty badass.
What's Cain's Dagger?
Cain's Dagger. I never done
Cain and Abel Cain?
Yeah, Cain and Abel Cain. Yep. It's like Da Vinci Code and Lord of the Rings on steroids. It's badass, man.
Can we shoot it?
Huh?
Film it?
I'd love to film this, dude. You should read this book. It's 700 pages. It'll blow your mind. It took me 5 years to write, and it was all the secret teachings, all the history I learned. Look there it is right there. Look at the cover. It's got Arabic, Sumerian, and Hebrew on the cover. Every single thing in this thing is super, super, super secret teachings, man. The book will blow your mind. The book will blow your mind.
Where do they sell it? On Amazon?
On Amazon. The book will split your wig, man. I'm telling you. Yeah. I don't even push this. I don't even really talk about it because
I've never seen this. I saw your other book, The Art of Money.
Yeah, this is my personal. This is what I wanted to be when I wanted to be a writer. I didn't want to be a painter. The painter was the halftime.
What did you originally want to be? I feel like you wanted to do a lot of things. You're pretty good at them. You wanted to be a lawyer?
Yeah, I wanted to be a lawyer. Yeah, because I got real good understanding of contracts. I could read a contract like no other. Even my lawyers, they trip out when I go through shit and I'm like, man, this is garbage, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're like,
that's a good skill to have.
They're like, how do you know this shit? I'm like, well, I worked at the law library for 3 years, man. I could get through all kinds of shit.
Okay.
But Cain's Dagger, man. So when I went to prison, I'll tell you how. You guys want to hear how it happened?
Yeah.
So when I went to prison, man, when I got sentenced, I felt like the biggest loser. I'm 33. I just had a kid. I'm sitting in a single cell up in Wisconsin. And I literally, on the way back from Chicago, from the federal court to Wisconsin, it was a long drive, and they put you in the handcuffs. And you're all fucked up. By the time I got there, I was beat up. And then I was in a single cell because I was in a county jail. So they put the federal inmates in their own cells. And they kept you in there damn near 20 hours a day. You know what I mean? It was brutal.
Damn.
So I'm already a little bit psyched out because of that. And now here I just got sentenced to 105 months. My baby's 3 months old. Man, I didn't feel like I even wanted to live anymore. And I was literally on the floor of the cell and I was punching the concrete and bloodied my knuckles all up, man. Broke them all up. And I fell asleep. And when I fell asleep on the floor, man, I had the craziest vision, man, that I've ever seen, man. It was just real supernatural, crazy shit, man. I won't go into it. It's in the book. And I got up, man, and I had these little pencils and I wrote it down right away. And 5 years later, I never stopped writing.
Wow.
And it was crazy, man. I'd go into this world, Cain's Dagger, this world that I created was my escape from prison. Every day I'd get up at 5 a.m. and I'd write for 3 hours, man.
Shit.
And that was my way of escaping the fence. I created this whole world. I created angels and demons and Lucifer and the creator and secret teachings and the Knights Templar and the Solomon Knights. Man, I created this insane world, man. And I lived in it for 5 years and wrote it. And I remember, man, so the funny story about the first 2 years, I hand wrote the whole thing. I still hand write shit. You know, it's crazy. It's just what I do, right? And I was in Manchester, Kentucky for about 2 years, and I finished the first, it was like 1,500 handwritten pages. It was crazy. I got transferred to Big Spring, Texas because there was a riot and they needed white people. So I got one of them that got shipped out to Big Spring, Texas, which was a hellhole. I mean, in West, it was terrible. West Texas, man, the desert, the dust, the water, everything was shit. And I got there, and there was this old timer from San Francisco that was in there for some PETA crimes or some shit. And he would have all kinds of books on his locker, and I'd walk past him every day from Rec Yard. And I'd say, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? And I liked the old man, and you know, I tried to stick up. I actually did stick up for him one time. They were hanging shit over his bunk, and I stuck up for him, and I almost fought with the blacks from Houston. Got that all squashed out. But he grew a liking to me, so I took him my manuscript, thinking I had just wrote a masterpiece, you know? And I took it to him. I said, hey, man, I see you got all these books and stuff. Would you mind reading this? I didn't really know nothing about them. And he's like, man, you know, I used to teach at a Jesuit school, history and writing. That's why I read all this stuff. I said, man, I got a really cool book, man. Check it out. Everything I've ever read, man, I kind of put it in one. About 3 days later, he comes to my bunk with it and he says, hey, you know, it's terrible. He said, it's terrible, man. This thing is just terrible. And I'm like, really? He's like, nah, I mean, you got great ideas and your visuals are unbelievable, but your writing is just, I said, well, I didn't even graduate high school, man. I'm not, you know, I know how to talk and shit, but I said, well, man, would you teach me how to write? You were a teacher. I said, help me make this right. I said, we'll start it with one chapter at a time. You correct it. I'll rewrite it, turn it in. You correct it. I rewrite it till we get it right. Go on to the second chapter. He said, man, I would love to do that. That would be awesome to teach you how to write. And for the next 2 years, that's what we did. It's 77 chapters. What was the irony in it was, though, is as soon as me and him were done, I ended up getting transferred again, but this time to Forest City, Arkansas, where my son was. But now I had a complete manuscript, 4 years in the making, and I knew how to write. What was so awesome, man, from the first chapter that he would correct, the whole thing would be red. Everything would be red, man. That shit would be, it looked like it was wrote with red, man. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole thing was red. And it would take me, man, like 4 or 5 times before that first chapter would be ready.
Yeah.
4 or 5, 6 times before you say, okay, 100. By the time we got to the end, 2 years later, 1.
Nice.
1 time. And done. He was so proud of me, man. He said, man, it's been such an awesome thing. And so when I got out, I thought I was going to be a writer. You know, I wrote 3 screenplays. One was a bank robber thing that robbed a bank on a jet ski. It was really badass. It was kind of a comedy because I like comedy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm into being funny a little bit.
Fuck yeah.
And so I thought I was going to be a writer, and I painted at night to ease my mind because I was always writing. And, you know, writing, man, it's stressful on the head, man.
Do you feel like you're somebody who just always needs to be like doing something?
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
I you know, the whole saying sleep when you're dead. I want to squeeze as much out of this life as I can squeeze out of it, man.
What gets you excited about it, man? Like, what makes you like so want to be so like to live?
Well, here, you know, I got my moments, man. Last year I had a tough one. I lost one of my our friend Pablo, man. He was our brother. He was with us every day. You know, we lost him in January, and then I lost my mom in February. And
sorry.
For the rest of the year at 24, I was a mess. I was on the road. I did like 50,000 on the road, you know, trying to run from the idea of mourn, you know, and I was just, you know, so I wasn't that feeling at that time.
Yeah.
Right. But then, you know, in November, right at Thanksgiving, man, I vanished on everybody, even my wife. Packed a little bag. I went down to Texas and hid for 30 days by myself. Didn't talk to no one, didn't call my wife, no one. And just mourned. Mourned my friend, mourned my mom. And I came out light. I came out inspired. I came out feeling good.
You felt like you kind of needed to go
Well, I
away
had to do it, man. I think we all need it
do your
sometimes,
thing.
man. You
Yeah.
know, people want to take vacations, man. They need to really take a vacation for them,
Yeah.
right? You want to do it with your kids and your wife. Sometimes you need to break, man.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
People don't. Other people don't think people do that at all. Actually,
take a vacation for you, and
Yeah.
I did it. Now I did it for 30 days. It was a little too long, you know.
But maybe that's how much time you needed. That was a lot of shit to go through.
Yeah, it was, man. But now 25 came, and I'm like rocking, right? So, what makes me excited? I'll tell you what makes me excited. I grew up on the south side of Chicago in the projects with a single mom that was bipolar, that every year ended up in the mental institute to get her lithium levels back up. And I was on my own for 30 days. And I had to take care of my siblings. And some of those moments were really rough. I got shot when I was 17. My best friend, Peter Frigo, got killed, shot in the head. In the matter of like 4 or 5 years, 6 of my friends were murdered. I remember this. My memory's good. It's not all fogged out. And so when you go through that type of stuff, man, I look at life now, man, as easy. It's still hard. It still has its emotional moments. It still has its mental hardships, man. But when I'm going through those, when I'm going through a moment where maybe I haven't sold a piece of art in a while and I got some bills coming up and what am I going to do? I go back to those moments, man, where I was really at my lowest.
Yeah.
Right? When I walked out of prison, 11 years ago, $20 in my pocket, no clothes. He almost ran me over, right? But tell you what's awesome. So here I am, get out of prison, $20 in my pocket, no clothes. Wife left me, sitting in the halfway house. Completely don't have no work history. My one friend gets me a job downtown. Shoveled 72 inches of fucking snow that year, right? 6 West Hubbard. And he wouldn't go get a snow blower, so every inch I had a shovel, right? He remembers he had to drop me off sometimes. But then him, what'd he do? Got me an apartment. This is when you know you got brothers, when you got bros. He got me an apartment. Got me a car, a BMW. Remember the little black badass? We took it to Detroit, man. We were smoked out all the way to Detroit. Got me a car. You have to get me a car, man. So were there moments where I was, and the reason he got me a car, because I had been riding a bike for 4 months. But I loved the bike. It made me strong, man. I'd ride the bike every day downtown to my job. And then it started getting cold. I didn't have the money for a car, though. Making $12.50 an hour. Living at a halfway house. He gets me an apartment. Then he says, hey, man, I'm going to get you this car so you ain't got to ride that bike no more. Those are the moments, the human moments, man, that make you inspired to live life.
That is very cool.
Fuck yeah, it was cool, man. It's still cool. He's still with me. Still my brother, man.
Hell yeah.
You know, still rocks hard, man. You know? So, you know, I mean, so what makes me inspire in life? People, man. Meeting new people. Creating new art. Living experiences. Seeing great things. You know, I drive everywhere now. I'm actually about to go to South Dakota to speak at a Bakers Association, man. Go figure,
really?
Right? Yeah, I love it.
What are you speaking on?
Leadership. And, improvising.
Okay.
Right? Leadership and improvising, right? And then banking, I'll talk about. I'm really in depth when it comes to crypto and financial. And I mean, I could go on a whole shit with you on that one, right? I'm a beast when it comes to financial markets, a monster. But all the people I sell art to are in the market. Yeah. Right? So I get tips and here. My one dude.
Yeah, you got a whole network of...
Insane. It's all financial. My one dude writes the report for the government for soybeans. He writes the fucking report, right? Every 2 weeks. It's my guy. You can ask him anything, man. He tells me anything, right? We have some great conversations too, right? When it comes to financials. So the banking thing I'm really excited about because it's going to allow me to not just show my knowledge of life, experience, Chicago, art, but then it's going to allow me to show my understanding of the market and money, how money moves, man, because that's what it all comes down to. Money moves, right? Everything comes down to that.
That should be your next book, Money Moves.
Money moves, man. I like that, man. That's a good one, yeah.
What I wanted to ask you too, where does like the artistry come from? Has that always been in you? Like I see, like, can we pull up his Instagram again, Corey? You have such cool pieces, and they're all very unique. But I mean, they're of you have a style for sure. But they're all like so like. Where do you come up with this stuff? Like, is there a process? Does it just hit you? Are you inspired? Have you always been like this?
So for me, like the Looney Tunes, right? And so those cartoons right there, Top Cat. I grew up watching Top Cat. I love Top Cat.
Were you just like, it would be sick to put all this shit on a $100 bill?
Yeah, Dr. Seuss, the Looney Tunes, and Top Cat.
So sick.
Yeah, those are badass.
Where is this? Is this your gallery?
No, it's a collector of mine.
Okay.
Yeah, that has them in his house. But look at the Top Cat. The Top Cat's dope. The first one, you know, they're all dope. That Top Cat right there, look at that.
Yeah.
That thing's badass right there, right? Top Cat.
That's
how
sick.
I always felt, man. Top Cat, he was always fighting with Mr. Dribble. And what's really crazy, if you go to Top Cat's first episode, it's counterfeit money. They're spending counterfeit money on the boat. It's the best, man. You gotta go. So you gotta watch the Top Cat's first episode ever. I couldn't believe it when I watched it. So
click this line right here too, Corey.
Oh, the line's sick. That's ridiculous.
This is at a
London House.
London House. So London House had you paint. What is this of theirs?
No, I did that because I had an exhibit at London House. That's a sculpture, actually.
That's a sculpture?
Yeah, that's a sculpture. In
is it gold foil?
No, it's my space material. So I met Frank. I met Frank Gehry's assistant out in L.A., Thomas Lozinski. He's been with Frank Gehry for like 40 years. And when I was in L.A. and I opened up my gallery out there, I was brought into Frank Gehry's studio in Glendale, and they were building these big ass fish for the Saudi prince. Yeah. And it was made out of this crazy material that they could mold any way they wanted, right? Now, they brought me there because they used these robots to do the Eisenhower Memorial, and they were done with them. So they had these robots just sitting there, and they wanted me to make some art with them. So they're walking me through the warehouse. They're showing.
Is that robot thing that's in the picture before this?
No, that was one of my friends. No, these were some long robots.
Oh, okay.
Crazy shit, man. They do welding.
Oh.
So they brought me in. They're showing me the robots, and I see a roll of paper in the corner. So I go to the roll of paper. They all start laughing. They're like, only a counterfeiter would go to that. They're showing me robots, right? I should be fascinated with the robots. I go to a roll of paper, but I start feeling it. I'm like, hey, man, this feels weird. What is this? They said something real special. You could put it in solution, and then you got 30 minutes to mold it into anything you want. I said, no way, man. I said, can I get a few pieces? They're like, yeah, we could give you a few, but we're doing a big job right now, and it's really expensive. So they cut off of stuff. It gave me enough to do about 5 pieces.
Oh, so this is that.
This is that, yeah.
So hang on, it's paper that you put in the solution and it like hardens in the shape.
It's not paper. It's more like it's like a vinyl, man. It's a weird feeling, man. They use it to wrap electronics in the spacecrafts. So the spacecrafts
Really? Oh, that's so
the spacecrafts don't get so the electronics don't get moist and short out. So that's what they use it for, right?
Okay.
And Frank Gehry is one who uses all kinds of shit for his projects, right? And so he happened to have this in his studio. So listen to this. So the first 3 of them I ruined, right? The first 3 of them I ruined. The 4th one I get because the shit don't want to take nothing. Don't want to take the paint. Don't want to take the print. Don't want to take nothing. Now I've never posted this video because I'm not into bragging, right? Which maybe I should have posted it. I'll send it to you guys right now, though.
Can we post it on here?
You could post it for sure.
Yeah, we're posting it on here.
You'll be the first place it posted, man.
Fuck yeah.
So what happened is, here it is. It's the 4th piece, and I put it. It goes to Arnold's house, right? My 3rd year going back to Arnold's. Now I live in LA though, right? And the piece sells for $100,000. Now listen to this.
75? Okay. Do you want to do this? $90,000. $90,000. Marilyn Monroe, the artist, is right here. He could forge you a few $100 bills and take something off. We're at 70,000. You go 90? $80,000. John, you want to let him have it? You're going to do it. $100,000. How about 125, sir? $100,000 going once. Anyone else? $100,000 going twice. You're going to be sleeping with Marilyn Monroe tonight. John Simonian, $100,000 for Fall of Beauty.
Could you imagine how I feel? I'm a live artist, man, with no gallery, no agent, no publisher, and I just sold a fucking piece for $100,000 at Arnold Schwarzenegger's house. You talk about a fairy tale shit, man, right? And so what happens is, it was my last piece, though, of that material. So I go back to Frank Gehry's, I go back to Thomas, all excited. And I tell him, I'm like, dog, type your number in there, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm like, dog.
Oh, you have it. I was texting you earlier.
But I didn't program it in
Oh,
yet.
okay. Gotcha.
So I'm like, Thomas, man, listen, you're not going to believe this. Check this out. I showed him the video. I said, one of the pieces sold for $100,000. I found my golden ticket. Because every artist is looking for that thing that he could just sell completely, right? Because I do a lot of different things because I've been looking for that one that I can mass produce and make my millions off, you know?
What is this? I know you got to, hang on, finish up. I'm sorry.
So what happens is they tell me, they're like, man, we can't give you no more material. We only got a little left and we're doing our job. We can't give you no more. I said, you got to be fucking kidding me. So you're telling me that I just sold a piece for $100,000. Man, let me just get enough to do 3 or 4, yeah, right?
Let me just get a little
I know how
bit.
to do this shit now, right? They said, nah, man, we can't right now, man. Frank Gehry's super particular. I said, well, you tell me what kind of material it is so I could go get it myself? He's like, Frank's not going to give his secrets, man. So I said, you're not even going to give me the name of the shit? He's like, nah, we can't. So I had to call it space material because I didn't know. Every time I posted, man, I always said it was space material.
To this day, do you still not know
I know
what it
now
is?
because I
Okay.
tell you the story. It's unbelievable. So a year goes by. I'm fighting out in LA, trying to make it, right? I finally had something that looked like it was going to go, and then I couldn't get no more of it. And I'm getting ready to come back to Chicago. And I go around to say my goodbyes. And so I go over there to say goodbye. And Thomas says, hey, I got a surprise for you. I said, what? He's like, we're giving you some more material. And they took me downstairs, man, and they gave me enough to do like 30 pieces. I couldn't believe it.
Holy shit.
I couldn't freaking believe it, man. And I came back to Chicago, man, and I started just snapping with it. Just doing the baddest shit, the lines, roses, all kinds of stuff.
So the roses are this material too.
Yeah, the roses are this material too. And so people ain't even hip to it yet, but they will be eventually. And then Thomas, he called me. I sent him some of the new work that I was doing. And he said, yeah, that Texas is made out of that. I cut Texas out.
Is this shit crazy expensive or hard to get, or
really,
both?
It's both. It's expensive and hard to get.
Okay.
So what was really cool is Thomas seen some of the things that I was making with it. If you scroll down like really far, you'll see some of the roses. Like
Yeah, there's one.
no, not that.
That's
Keep
not
going.
one.
Right, yeah, right there. Those ones, that's made out of it. That one right there is a badass picture. That's man. It's 3D, man. It changes colors as you pass by it.
What does it feel like when it dries?
It's super hard. It'll last 1,000 years. So that's another thing
Okay.
about this. These pieces, they'll last longer than anything that exists out there. There's the
Okay.
lion right there. You see it close up.
Yeah.
Now you get to see it. That's how the lion looks. Look at that thing.
Oh, that's what it is? Close up? That's so
Yeah.
cool.
It's badass. And it's like 80 inches. It's huge. A
Oh
collector
my
got it
God.
here in downtown Chicago. So here's what's great, guys. So Thomas starts seeing the stuff I'm making with that. And he calls me out of the blue. And he says, hey, we're done using this stuff. I'm like, really? He said, so I've been given permission to tell you what the material is. And he gave me the name of it.
Holy shit.
And I couldn't believe it, man. And so now I got my own direct line to it, you know?
So now it's your own secret sauce.
Yeah, it's my own. It's just like the spray on the money.
Yeah, you got to keep that secret sauce
I never
secret.
tell anyone what it is.
I
you
wasn't
know?
even gonna ask.
Just like they wouldn't tell me for 3 years, I ain't telling anyone for maybe 10. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or 15. So
We'll get you back in 10 years when you when you want to reveal it.
when I want to reveal it, I'll do that. But I sent you guys that video. You could post that, man.
Yeah, I
It's
will.
sold that piece for $100 grand.
I got it.
Yeah, I donated that to St. Jude, man, because I raise a lot of money for charities too. So, like, I just donated a painting to Mokina, the school district,
Mokina, Illinois?
Mokina, yeah, the school district out there. I just sent some.
That's like a place I hear about on the news when they're doing weather, but I have no idea what the fuck it is.
Yeah, I didn't know either, but they said they needed some help for the kids, and I did it. You know, so I'm really big in that, man. You know,
Sick.
but
Insane. This is a great. I love that.
I
Yeah.
can't see it from here. Who is that? Oh, nice. I need
well,
some
listen, guys,
glasses.
man, it's getting to that point, man. 8:30. What do you think?
Yeah, we'll get out of here in a second. Let me just ask you a
I
couple
haven't
more.
ate, man, so I got a terrible headache right now, man.
Oh, okay, we'll let you get out of here, man. Let me just ask you one more question and we'll
Yeah,
go.
for sure, man.
Two, but they'll be quick. What's who's the coolest person you've worked with or like sold to? Like, you know, you said Schwarzenegger, but like, is that the one?
Oh yeah,
in your
hands
mind.
down. I mean, well, no, man. I met a bunch of cool people. I mean, for me, it's not about the coolest I worked with or the most expensive. It's the experience, the memory, the cool. And that would be Arnold Schwarzenegger, hands
Fuck
down.
yeah.
I mean, here it is, a guy, a couple years out of prison, and I ended up at his house, right? Which tells you that anything is possible in life if you believe in yourself.
Hell yeah, I love
Right.
that.
You know, like, and I'll tell you something. This is why I give Arnold such credit, because, and he knows this. Don't ever have to talk to him or see him again about it, but he knows this. Is that when I wanted to do the show at his house 2 weeks before, the lady calls me, Natalia. She was the one over it, and she says, "Hey, it don't look like you're going to be able to come because you're not going to be able to pass security." And at first, my heart dropped because I was looking forward to this for like 3 months. I spent all my money on creating art. I planned for this, like, for everything, man. And now you're calling me 2 weeks before telling me I can't come because it's my past. I mean, this whole thing, that it defeats the whole purpose of trying to help people.
Yeah.
And so she said, well, we're going to have one more meeting, and Arnold makes the last call, right? But so far, the security has like put the nix on it, you know? And I guess it might have been like 5 days before the event. I kept working like I was going.
Yeah.
I never in my mind once thought that I wasn't going. Not once. And so what happens? It was like 5 days before the event. She said, can you be here? Arnold approved you. Arnold approved you.
It's a cool dude, man.
Right? And I went out there and I smoked it and I never looked back.
Fuck yeah. I've
never, you know, I haven't really, I gave him a hug. He told me to keep going and that was the last time I seen him. But that's all I needed, man.
That's amazing, man. That's
all
cool
I needed.
Story.
And so here it is, you know, it's almost that was almost, almost 8 years ago.
Wow.
Right? That happened. And I'm still around. I'm still an artist. I'm still successful. And so if you ask, the coolest moment and the biggest influence, I'd say him. And then the second would be, you know, my bro right here, Tommy. I mean, he's
oh yeah, Tommy.
Yeah, he almost ran me over. You know, I didn't have his phone number because I didn't have a phone. I'm going to get a slice of pizza at Freddy's, and him and Scotty Radio damn near run me over. And then he changed my life, got me an apartment, got me a car. So, you know, Joe Cacciatore from Lakeside Bank. You know, Joey Jr. and his dad, man, they took me in at Lacuna.
That's amazing.
You know, mentored me, right? That shit made me a different person. Don't see them anymore, but that's all I needed. During that time, there were people in my life that helped me progress. You know, whether they're still here or not, doesn't matter. They had a part of my history, you know? And so, you know, for me, the greatest moments, the coolest moments are those moments. The moments that I learned something through somebody. I have one of those personal experiences of a memory of that just you can't buy. And I've had many of them. You know, and you know, and then inspiring people, right? I get all the time on my Facebook and Instagram, man. You don't know how much I follow you and I look up to you and that shit used to like trip me out. Like I didn't really believe it, right? But man, there's been people that have said I saved their life, and still that was years ago, and they still reach out to me and say, man, look what I'm doing. I'm building cabinets now, or I'm doing this, and that shit moves you. You're like, damn, okay.
That's inspiring, man. Well,
yeah,
I think this is a good place to end it. We'll let you get out of here, get some food.
Yeah, I need to eat.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much.
All right, brother.